Let's go down to Jerome's Raw Real Rant. We got to get this thing going because I feel like the season has been interesting. All right, so the Vikings are 7-7, 500, perfectly average, middle of the road. And what's really frustrating is that the Vikings have given away a number of close games as of late. They've lost 3 out of 4, and they beat the Raiders by scoring 3 points. It happens, man. But shoulda, coulda, woulda beat the Bengals, except for poor play calling at the end and also the defense imploding. Shoulda, coulda, woulda beat the Bears at frickin' home, except for his poor play calling at the end of the game. Also, shoulda, coulda, woulda beat the Broncos, but we know what happened there, right? And everything comes back to Kirk Cousins, because it always does, right? And it feels like too much of the fan base is resigned to the fact that, hey, it's okay because we don't have Kirk Cousins. Yeah, because Kirk got hurt in the Packers game. And hey, it's okay for the team to underperform. Hey, it's okay for Kevin O'Connell to screw up game management. Hey, it's okay for the Flores Hellfire defense to just completely disintegrate at the end of the Bengals game. Hey, it's okay because there's no Kirk Cousins. And what's amazing is it's those same mofos who never had the time of day for Kirk when he was healthy. It's like, oh, Kirk has ruined this team. His contract is blah, blah, blah. Even though he was the 14th highest paid quarterback in the league this year. I mean, old tropes and narratives are hard to shake. But let's not kid ourselves. Yes, Kirk Cousins was playing at an MVP adjacent level before he got hurt this season. And also, Kirk probably should be back next year. He and the Vikings will work something out. I think that he's probably the betting favorite right now to be back in purple next year. But just because Kirk is hurt doesn't mean that this season is a wash, right? And remember, with Kirk, even though Kirk wasn't necessarily the problem, the Vikings did start out 0-3, 1-4. And the fact that they clawed out of this hole, and the fact that they won 5 straight games without Justin Jefferson, the fact that they did win the first 2 games without Kirk Cousins, that should stick out to you, right? And yes, Kevin O'Connell has been dealt a bad hand this season. Losing Kirk, then the gong show at quarterback, Jaren Hall, if Jaren Hall didn't get concussed, maybe Jaren Hall is still the starter. Maybe he's going the whole way. And maybe he's seen as the next Brock Purdy. MVP favorite Brock Purdy, by the way, which don't get me started on the stupidity of that supposed most valuable player, as opposed to, hey, who's the best quarterback on the best team? I'll hang up and listen, please. Anyways, but the whole thing about Kirk is that, hey, it doesn't excuse what's happened in the last couple of games. I mean, yes, it's been great that the Vikings went on that winning streak and the Vikings got off the mat at 1-4 and got back into the Derby. And yes, if you pulled all the Vikings fans at 1-4, it's like, hey, heading into week, the hell are we at? Heading into week 16, you'll be 7-7, 50-50 to make the playoffs, and you still have those 2 games against the Lions and a home game against the Packers, right? You take that, right? But I feel like the Vikings surge in the midseason definitely changed expectations, and no, not having Kirk is not an excuse for giving away the Broncos game or the Bears game or the Bengals game. And I know what you're saying is like, hey, well, Kirk probably wouldn't have had 4 interceptions against the Bears. And Kirk probably wouldn't have thrown a ball that got Justin Jefferson put in the hospital against the Raiders. And Kirk Cousins probably wouldn't have thrown those 2 red zone interceptions before halftime against the Bengals. Again, fully understand that. But the fact that the Vikings, even without Kirk, should have won all of those games, it's what makes it even more frustrating. I mean, it does. And, the Vikings right now, I know a lot of people are like, well, even if they make the playoffs, they're just going to get knocked out. Oh, so they should just not play the game, huh? Vikings sweep at home against the Lions and the Packers the next 2 games. They get in as a 6 seed. They should just forfeit. Yeah, they should just forfeit to the Lions because, I mean, even though the Vikings beat the Lions, not going to beat them in the playoffs. The roar has been restored indeed. Yeah, but either way, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous right now. And the whole thing about it is, hey, we need to find out what kind of coach Kevin O'Connell is. Because I feel like that's just been, what's up, Silly? That's just been the blanket excuse. Oh, he's got Dobbs. Oh, he's got Jaren Hall. Oh, he's got Nick Mullins. Oh, he doesn't have Kirk. There is, like I said, I think Kirk's a favorite to be back next year. Kevin O'Connell might not have Kirk next year. So then what's the excuse going to be? And yes, I do give O'Connell and Kwesi a lot of credit for going 13-4, wanting some more, win the division last year. But I feel like a lot of people are just like, how are people so stupid? Like, how can you think about moving on from Kevin O'Connell? Look at his record last year. I'm not for firing Kevin O'Connell this offseason. I feel like he's earned a scholarship here. But the game management throughout the season, and especially as of late, is disturbing. It really, really is. And it's something that's worth examining. And no, he just doesn't get blanket amnesty because the Vikings had a good year last year. What about going forward? Again, we need to find out if Kevin O'Connell is going to be that dude who can learn from his mistakes. He generally has, but in game management, maybe not really. I don't know, man. But yeah, like we said, I do think that Kirk Cousins is back. But hey, if Kevin O'Connell's going to be the long-term coach of the Vikings, Kirk's not going to play till he's 45 like Tom Brady. So Kevin O'Connell has to learn how to operate without him. And no, not having Kirk does not excuse what happened in the Bengals game. It does not excuse what happened in the Bears game. It does not excuse scoring 3 points against the Raiders, by the way. And also, it certainly does not excuse what happened at the end of the Broncos game. So, anyways, that's it. But again, I find it so ironic that it's like, oh, it's because we don't have Kirk. Even though those same mofos were the ones just like trying to get Kirk out of town. It happens, man. Anyways, that's it. Skull, no production value.